everybody. My dad was a Phillies fan. And, sorry, Pastor, it's not going to be brief.
I knew that.
Oh my gosh, there's a lot of cards there.
Hope everybody
It's a lot of years.
wore their sunscreen. It's a day to pay respect and honor my father. He was a great man, had a great smile. Robert E. Godfrey Jr. I want to thank Pastor Person. I want to thank the color guard. Of course, I want to thank all of you for this great turnout. It's just awesome to have all you here, even under these circumstances. Now, Gaby and I, we were talking about his obituary, and I said he was a good father, and a farmer, liked to go hunting. And she said, well, he was a good father and husband who was a farmer and liked to go hunting. So it might be the first time she and I ever agreed. He was a faithful, loving, reliable husband and father, and he always took care of us. Even in the lean years of farming, we never felt we were doing without anything, but there were some lean years, and but he did good. He was all when we needed him, and he helped all three of us, Jeannie, Kaylee, and myself, get started with our first homes. And when you're young and just getting started, that's a really important thing, and didn't realize how important it was until now.
Yes.
When Jeannie passed, he took in her daughters, my nieces Angie and Chris, and he and Mom, even though they were senior citizens, took on that responsibility and did a good job with those two girls. And then toward the end here, they reciprocated, and they took care of him quite a bit. And he really appreciated that, girls. And Angie told me that she always enjoyed watching the Nationals baseball games with my dad. They did that on a pretty regular basis. I know he enjoyed watching it with her. Now, the Godfrey family was fairly big, and it means a lot to all of us, and many of those Godfreys are right here, as you probably noticed. And my father had always had a strong relationship with his brother Harley, who was a little older. I know my dad worked to do Harley, no matter what it was. But that was part of the strong bond of the Godfrey clan and our family picnics at the Kumpels farm, and John Godfrey's farm, and Alfred Godfrey's farm, and my dad's farm. Those huge family picnics, they meant to us. And I know a lot of my cousins are out here, and you know what I mean, because we have a closeness that wouldn't have been there if it wasn't for those big family picnics, because that's where we really grew up with each other and got to know each other. And maybe we ought to think about getting our younger generation to do the same thing.
Yes.
My dad was a good man, always had a good influence, but he believed in the adage, spare the rod and spoil the child. I remember that well, because when I got muddy handprints all over the side of the White House, I wasn't spoiled that day. And there were other times too, but I won't go into that. I told the story of my mom's passing a year and a half ago, but I think it's worth mentioning again, because I had this image of my father. You always have this image of your parents as being whatever that image is, but it's not the young, hormones flowing, vibrant people, because you just grow up with them, but I was conservative, farm country boy. He went to Camden, not for taking tomatoes, but to take dance lessons at Daisy's Dance Studio. And that's where he met my mom. And I still think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I can't believe it. But when you all come back to Prospector's Restaurant after this, I have a nice slideshow. And there are some pictures there of my mom and dad that will surprise you in their younger years. And you'll understand how they fell in love with each other.
Oh, and I went over to visit them one evening, and they were in your old bedroom with the record player going, and your dad comes out, he says, we're learning to do the rumba, or something like that. Anyway, yeah.
Now, as you know, my father did serve in the Army, probably in 1949, 1950. He was in there when I was born. And I do view him as part of that greatest generation that Tom Brokaw's book so aptly presented. Even though he wasn't actually in the war itself, he represented all the values and ethics of that generation. And as the story goes, when he was in the Army at Fort Dix, General came up to him and said, "Can you drive a Jeep?" Struck up a conversation with him, and my dad said, "I grew up on a farm. I can do anything. I can drive anything." So he got to be the general driver. Pretty easy gig, I think. And now even today, when my wife or someone asks me, "How'd you do that? How'd you know how to do that?" and I just say, "Easy. I grew up on a farm." Because you learn more on that farm than you ever knew you were learning. So you know he was a farmer, and he had a kind heart, and he was a gentleman, but he was not a gentleman farmer. He worked hard, as Ray has alluded to. We start 5:30 in the morning, and I would often get to go do some things after dinner, but he was still out there many a night spraying things that needed to be sprayed when there was calm, or moving irrigation pipe, and I did get the help with that because that was a two-man job. Trying to get that last watering going before it got dark, and yeah, we worked hard. The good thing though was I worked side by side with my father for a lot of years, loading tomatoes, picking apples, pruning the trees, doing everything with him. And of course I learned a lot. And all I remember was it was a lot of hard work, but now I can go, man, look at all the stuff I did with my dad.
Yes.
And even though there were some days in the summer we'd work almost 30 days straight without a break, and you'd be praying for a rainy morning. We couldn't do anything. It was a great experience. And he was probably the fastest picker I ever knew. He could pick 2 quarts of strawberries to my 1. He could sort 2 baskets of apples to my 1. And he was just really fast, or I was really slow. He always took care of his farm equipment. You know, we'd come in from hoeing, and he'd wash off the hose. And he'd take care of all his equipment at the end of the day, or particularly in the winter months where he had more time, he'd tune everything up and lubricate it and clean it up and get it stored for the winter so it wouldn't get rusty. And I asked him, "If you had to do it again, Dad, would you do it again?" He said, "Yes, I would." He said, "I always paid my bills. I was always my own boss, and it was just worth it to me." And he never got anything on credit. If he wanted a piece of equipment, he saved up, and that's when he bought it. You know, he almost wasn't a farmer over there in Mount Laurel. There was a few years where he was farming with his father, my grandfather, and my Uncle John, his brother, and they had a couple lean years, and they were splitting things 3 ways. Well, he soon realized that a 1/3 of a split on a lean year isn't going to support his family. So he went off and he got a job as a mechanic's assistant in Morristown. I think it was Hollingshead or Stanwick Garage, and he did that for a while. And he told me he was looking around to buy his own farm because he still wanted the farm. Well, shortly thereafter, his father and brother John were farming together, and younger brother John, right about harvest time, probably late June, early July, signed up for the Navy and took off. Left my grandfather high and dry. And my grandfather said to my dad, "You still interested in buying a farm?" My dad said yes. And that's how my dad ended up with the farm, which had come down through his mother's father, great-granddaddy Wells. Now we know he was a hunter, and there wasn't much he didn't like to hunt. He did wild turkeys and elk on his annual out west trips. He would plan these trips for the off season: elk, moose, caribou, mule deer. And a lifetime member of the Mount Laurel Deer Club. And a lot of those same guys went down to relatives in Maryland and they did deer hunting there. And out of those 2 groups, I know my dad probably got more deer than any of them, but my Uncle George was probably a close second. And he was a good shot, and he also had good ears. Because I was working at the farm during the summers during my college years, and everyone knows about college years, and there'd be times when I would come in like 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'd drive my 63 Chevy Impala as slow as possible up that dirt lane, like just barely inching along so I could sneak in the house. And when I'd shut the door, I would just kind of barely close it, and I'd get in the house. He wouldn't say anything except the next day when I only had 3 hours sleep, getting up at 5 a.m. It wasn't worth too much. He'd come up to me about mid-morning and go, "You know, if you didn't come in at 2 o'clock in the morning, you'd have done a better job today." And he was a fireman, as Joby alluded to, and he did that for all the years we lived in Marlton. And he was the oldest surviving Marlton member of the fire department. Now, as you know, he liked baseball, played on the Mount Laurel men's team for 8 years, and when he started, he was only 16 years old. The youngest player on the team. He played shortstop, and he was the leadoff hitter. And they played teams from all around Burlington County, about 8 teams in the league. I said, "Did you ever win a championship?" And he said, "Nah, we're a bunch of farmers. We didn't have time to practice." His brother Harley was on the team, cousin Big Ed, cousin Perry, and Les Bakley, who married a Godfrey, and Debbie Kuhn, who married a Godfrey. So it was kind of the Godfrey team. Now, for those of you who still have parents, and it's kind of surprising to me, I don't have any anymore. I know some of you are in the same situation. Take some time with a list and ask your parents stuff. What was your favorite movie? Which I did, Sergeant York, Gary Cooper. Ask them what their favorite color was, because I don't have a clue. And, well, yes I do, green and yellow. But, ask them, make a whole list. Ask them what their favorite experience was, or things like that. Because I'm going through some pictures here to make this nice slideshow for everybody. And I go, "Who's that?" I'll ask Dad. No, I won't. So take that time. I did ask him if there's any place he ever wanted to go and never got to. And he said Yeah,